Hello, PreCalc students. This is the solution video for 1-6 Day 1 worksheet. Let's get started here then. Number 13 was a skipper. You can skip that. You always can do that for extra practice if you want. We're going to start with number 14. It says find 4 consecutive odd integers whose sum is 416. So again, odd integers that are consecutive are going to be like n plus 2, n plus 4, and n plus 6. Okay, so I'm going to take those 4 expressions to represent those consecutive odd integers, and even though they're odd, they are 2 apart from one another. And we're told that that equals 416. So when I go ahead and add up my n's, I get 4n. And if I add up my integer pieces, I get 12. And that equals 416. Subtract the 12 over, I get 404, and I divide by n, and I get 101. Now what's great about this answer right here, it is in fact odd. So that means my integers are going to be this, add 2 to that, add 4 back to the first one, and add 6 onto the first one. And there are my 4 consecutive integers. Okay. The next one here, number 15, says find 2 numbers whose, little typo here, whose sum is 55 and whose product is 684. So I'm going to set up 2 expressions here. I'm going to set up that n1 plus n2 equals 55. And I'm going to have that n1 times n2 equals 684. So we're going to use some substitution here to solve this. We have 2 variables, 2 unknown variables, 2 equations. We should be able to solve this here. So I'm going to say that I'm going to subtract that n2 over, or n sub 2 over, here. And then I'm going to take this and plug it into here. So I'm going to get parentheses 55 times n sub 1 times n sub 2 equals 684. I'm going to distribute. Oh, this is a 2 here. I'm going to distribute, and I'm going to get 55 n sub 2 times n sub 2 squared equals 684. I'm going to bring everything over to the right. So I'm going to add the n sub 2 squared over. I'm going to subtract the 55 n sub 2. And I'm going to get plus this here. Okay. Now I could try to factor this thing, or I could just use the quad form. Okay. So it's kind of a horse apiece here. We could try all the factor pairs here. So I'm going to use the quad form. And so I'm going to say I get minus, so I get 55 positive because it's minus that. Then I'm going to get 55 squared minus 4 times 1 times 684, all divided by 2. So I'm going to do some serious simplifying here. I'm going to go ahead and calculate what's in that square root. I've got to grab a calculator quick. Oh, I don't have one. Okay, so when I go ahead and calculate that, I should get I don't have a calculator handy here. So let me just pull up my calculator on my computer. Just give me a second here. So 55 squared plus parentheses 4 times 1 times 684, close off, hit equals. I get 5761. So 5761, and when I square root that, that doesn't quite seem to be right here. I added the 2 instead of subtracting the 2, so it's actually 289, or 289. Okay, so that means I get this. I get 55. 289 is square rooted of 17. So I'm going to get 72 divided by 2, and I'm going to get 38 divided by 2. So that means my two answers are going to be 36 and 19. Okay, so those are my two answers to this problem here. Sorry about the delay there. So number 16, the sum of the squares of two consecutive integers, even integers, is 1,252. Find the integers here. So again, consecutive even integers. I can write that as n and n plus 2. So if I take this and square it, plus this and square it, and the sum is 1252. So I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to expand this out. Equals 1252. So I'm going to get 2n squared plus 4n. I'm going to do completing the square. So I'm going to subtract that over. So I get 1248. I'm going to divide and plus a blank. Take the 2 out. Okay, off to the side, I'm going to take positive 2 divided by 2, which is squared, and to find that missing term here. So I'm going to put 1 here, 1 here, so I'm going to get 2n plus 1 squared equals 1250. Okay. I'm going to divide by 2 to get things rolling with the solve part. So that's going to give me n plus 2 quantity squared equals 625. I'm going to square root. I like to do that in green. So that's going to give me n plus 1 equals plus or minus, oh, this comes out to be 25. I'm going to subtract 1. So n could be, or n could be. So I have two possible answers. I can say 24 and 26. Or I could say negative 26 and negative 24. So I have kind of two sets of answers that would work here. Now they didn't say they had to be positive or negative, so we have two sets here. Okay. Continuing on here with number 24. Okay, Helen earns $7.50 at an hour at her job, but if she works more than 35 hours a week, she is paid 1.5 times her regular hourly rate for overtime hours work. 1 week, her gross pay, that's before taxes or any deductions, was $352.50 and 50 cents. So again, I have my amount of money, gross pay. That's going to be equal to the regular pay, which would be $35 at $7.50. Plus, we have some overtime hours. So that's going to be H hours times 1.5 times $7.50. So if we go ahead here, and that's going to give me 262.5. Over here, this is going to give me 11.25 H. I'm going to do a subtract step. So I'm going to subtract this over. Gives me 90 equals 11.25 H. Divide by 11.25. That's going to give me 8 hours for the overtime hours. Okay, so 8 hours of overtime. Okay, gonna continuing on here. A rectangular garden is 25 feet wide and has an area of 1,125 square feet. What is the length of the garden? So again, a garden here, rectangle. We're going to go 25 times length, and the area is 1125. So we're going to say that 25 times L equals 1125. Divide by 25, and we get 45 feet for the length. That was actually one you could skip there. Okay. It says a half-acre city plot of land is 5 times as long as it is wide. Okay, so if this is x, this is 5x. What are the lot's dimensions if 1 acre is 43,560 square feet? If 1 acre. So I have to go ahead and say that x times 5x is going to equal to 1/2 of 43,560. Okay. So that's going to give me 5x squared. This is going to give me 21,780. Divide by 5. X squared is going to equal 4,356. We're going to square root both sides, and we get x, x equals plus or minus 66. Can have a negative for the length of a side of a rectangle. So we're going to have 66 feet for one dimension. And if I go ahead and take 5 times 66, that's going to be 330 feet for the other dimension. So those are my two dimensions. Okay, number 42. I'm going to stop there. This video is kind of long enough here. I may make a second video here. So just kind of running out of time on the length of video. I'll do maybe a second part, or we can go through these as a part of class. So adios.